Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Enzo Maresca's post-match comments. Kepa Arrizabalaga is finally leaving Chelsea. We have a huge update regarding Malick Fofana. Estevao Willian has spoke out more on his Chelsea move, and the pathway to the semi-finals of the Club World Cup has finally been revealed. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10K by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, Enzo Maresca said he is hopeful that fresh legs can reinvigorate his side. We have played every 3 days, and with these conditions due to the heat, we wanted to give time for rest and recovery. The ones that are out are also very tired. This is so vital in a competition like this, where it's kind of a pre-season, kind of isn't in terms of timing for European teams. The heat is wild, and I know a lot of people are saying that the heat isn't an excuse, but it is a factor in terms of the players' wellness and how we can perform, because they have to acclimatise very, very quickly, especially if they're playing every 3 days. I will say that last night's game was the first time we actually looked pretty sharp. I wouldn't say we were perfect, but we were performing a lot better standard than we have in the previous 2 games, and that's very visible now. Yes, there was a lot of rotation last night. It was a heavily rotated squad. A lot of players got minutes, but you could see that the performance level was a bit higher than what we've seen. So I feel like it does play a part, and the players are finally sort of acclimatising and adjusting properly. They've been out there for a couple of weeks now. Have been training sort of sparsely because of the heat and the conditions. Last night's game was played at 9 PM US time, which is why it was 2 AM here in the UK when it kicked off. And even then it was like 31 degrees. Like, that is abnormally high temperatures for European teams to be playing football. People seem to forget that in Europe, football is a winter sport. It is played mainly in the colder months of the year. So, and this time of year as well, most players clock out mentally, because it's pre-season, it's holiday times, it's, you know, rest and recuperation, then you go into the next season. So I think this is very vital, and I think Enzo Maresca got this spot on, if I'm being brutally honest. I think the rotation was great. There were a lot of question marks over the lineup. You know, I did a post-match review on the channel. Feel free to check that out. I kind of talk about this. There was a lot of uproar about this lineup, that, you know, Maresca hates the club, Maresca wants us to lose. But I actually, once we started playing the game and we started dominating from a very early spell, you could clearly see this was a very smart move from Maresca, which is always easy to say in hindsight, right? You know, there were a few question marks. Andrey Santos didn't start. You know, we were playing Gusto at left back and then having Ashampong at right back. They, you know, I think that when the information came out, everyone thought that Ashampong was going to be playing left back and Gusto right back. There was just a few question marks. KDH starting as well. But I feel like the team performed very well to a standard, and we got the job done. It was a very professional performance, a 3-0 victory, and we now rock up into the round of 16, which is amazing. But there's been more that's been said. Maresca then follows up by saying the target is now to go to the last 8. Clubs like Atletico Madrid, who have been in the Champions League final, didn't make the last 16. Now, I don't know why he's throwing shade at Atletico Madrid, if I'm being honest. And I know that I don't think he means any malice by it. He's using them as an example to kind of reiterate the importance of how this tournament has gone. You know, we've had some shock results, and, you know, like clubs like Atletico haven't got through to the round of 16, and, you know, Maresca is focusing on getting into the last 8. Our round of 16 game is against Benfica this Saturday, 8 o'clock kickoff in the UK time, and it's going to be a tough game. Benfica end up doing the unthinkable in terms of current form and beating Bayern Munich 1-0, and fair play to them. Their goalkeeper was man of the match. That shows how much they were peppered by Bayern Munich. But they managed to get the result over the line. Fair play. Now Chelsea are going to play them in that round of 16 tie. And it works out that Flamengo are now going to play Bayern Munich, which is quite wild that they've won their group and get the harder fixture in the round of 16, all due to a couple of goals and fixtures and results. So this tournament seems to constantly be changing in terms of, you know, PSG got sent to the other side of the draw because of goal difference and things like that. So it has been quite entertaining in that sense. I know there's been a lot of like talk around, you know, outside of the competition. But as the competition's going on, I think it's, you know, now is where things really start to heat up. We've got out of the group stages now, really culling things down. You've got, you know, teams like Palmeiras and Botafogo, they've got to play. And then obviously we've got Benfica. We go on to play the winner of Palmeiras and Botafogo. We'll speak about that in a little while. And then you've got the likes of Juve and Man City. You've got River Plate. You've got all these other teams that are all into the round of 16. So it's really going to be interesting to see, with these South American teams especially, how far they can go in this like knockout style, because previously the Club World Cup, they'd play a load of games and then the European teams would come in and go have a bye and then do semis and finals. Whereas this time it's not. It's group stages, then a round of 16, you know, into the knockouts all the way to the final. So This competition has excited me. I feel like a lot of the Chelsea fans have been very reactionary about some of the results, and rightfully so. We're emotional fans, right? There's always something going on. I wasn't particularly happy about the Flamengo loss. We got dismantled, and again, I did a video about that. And a lot of Flamengo fans were very happy to tell me that I was making excuses, when if you actually watch the video, I was giving them flowers for the entire thing. But regardless, these clubs are here to win. They're here to prove a point. They're here to play with pride and passion. And Chelsea is now starting to, it seems like we're getting into gear a little bit. We had a rotated squad. We rested a lot of the first team to go into this round of 16 game. So the gamble that Maresca took paid off. And I feel like he deserves a bit of credit for that, because, again, a lot of people are on his back, fan-wise. And, you know, some people weren't. A lot of people were. And it's just very interesting to see the contrast. But we went out and we got the result that we needed. We're into the round of 16 against Benfica this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good test for Chelsea against a big club, right? And I'm no disrespect to the clubs that we have previously played in this competition, but we're going back to, you know, top European Champions League playing clubs. It's a very good test to see where Chelsea currently are, because we're going to be playing a lot of these clubs next season in the Champions League. So it's good to see where we're at right now. Maresca then spoke about Andrey Santos, and he said Andrey is working well. He needs to understand the way that we play. It's also the same for all the new guys. It's important for the new ones to continue the way that they're working. This is very interesting, and also very... I'm glad Maresca has said this, because if I'm being honest, I like to try and stay as balanced as possible and see both sides of things. But I got quite annoyed in the last few days that it seemed like every Chelsea fan online, wherever I looked and turned to, comment sections, creators, whatever, were just so stressed out and annoyed that Andrey Santos hadn't played any minutes. And I get it. I even spoke about it briefly, and I said, you know, it's frustrating that Maresca didn't utilise him as a substitute in the previous, like, first 2 group stage games when we could have. I get that. But he has just arrived back from loan. He is trying to learn Maresca's system. He is trying to settle back into this squad. It makes perfect sense when you take a step back, take a breather, and go, right, he's going to get minutes. He's going to have his time. He got his 22 minutes last night. I feel like he was a little bit rusty, where you can see he was trying to adapt to Enzo Maresca's system, but he still gets himself an assist and plays pretty well in that 22 minutes. We're not expecting a hat-trick. We're not expecting him to tear trees up, but he did very well. He did good. It was a nice introduction back into Chelsea's team, and I feel like he will get more minutes as the competition goes on, and not just in this competition, but throughout the season. It's going to be incredibly hard for him to break through into our midfield, and that's another thing that people need to understand. We've got Caicedo, Enzo as our main 2, and then we've got Lavia. When he's fit, he plays. We know how good he is. He played last night. He was fantastic. But then you've also got Asugo as a backup to Caicedo. Asugo got some minutes last night. He's class. He looks really, really tidy player. So it's going to be, we've got that depth, we've got that rotation, and they're all going to have to fight for minutes. Now, if there is a run of form where Andrey Santos is absolutely unbelievable, then yes, he will knock either Enzo, Caicedo out of the squad for the period of time that he's really in form. But if he's not, he will be used as a rotation player. And we don't want to see that, because we know how good Andrey Santos is. But you also have to look at the other side of it and go, well, is he better than Enzo? Is he better than Caicedo currently? Probably not. So I get the emotions, the frustrations that have been played, and I know he's got his minutes last night, and I'm happy that he did. And I do feel like he'll get more minutes throughout this competition for sure, especially based on what Enzo Maresca is saying about the heat and the rotation and how all the players are tired and they're training a little less. They're being more clinical with it, but training a little bit less because of the conditions, and it's just tiring the players out. We had a nice, rotation where, the first team has basically have been really, really rested. Other than a couple, like Delap, obviously. Jackson is still banned, I think, until the semi-finals or the quarterfinals. I think there's a 2-game ban that he gets banned for. 4 he's straight red. So again, he's going to be rested to be able to come back, but Delap's going to have to play that role unless we start Guiu, which I don't think we will against a club like Benfica. But again, we saw the likes of Mamadou Sarr and Guiu and Ashimpong get minutes last night, and it was just very, very good. So I feel like the club, the team is in a very good position. I feel Maresca's doing everything he can with his man management, and this isn't me just completely backing Maresca. Yes, he makes some questionable decisions. I am not disputing that. Yes, he's very frustrating in terms of the way he plays. I understand that too. But I also see his side of the point where he's like, we've got to do this the right way. We can't just put all our eggs in one basket, because after this competition we have minimal rest, pre-season, Premier League season. And I'm pretty sure that most fans, if not all fans, would rather focus on the league next year than the Club World Cup. However, that doesn't mean we can throw the Club World Cup. We need to try and compete across all levels. We have the squad for it now. We're at a level where, things are settled. We're injecting new players into it. They're going to improve in key areas. And this is what Chelsea used to do, right? We used to compete at every competition. And to do that, you need a wide rotation of players, and not everyone is going to play every single game. So I feel like we're going to go into this new sort of cycle of what the norm is for Chelsea right now. But yeah, I'm glad that Maresca, addressed it. He clearly knows what's going on in terms of the fan base and everyone's outrage of Andrey Santos not playing as much as we thought he would. But I think he summed it up. He's working well. He needs to understand the way they play, and it's the same for all the new guys. They're still in that learning process, and they're still going to be getting minutes. And as the season goes on, I really feel like we're going to see more and more minutes for Andrey Santos. And briefly, let's talk about Chelsea's path to the semi-final. Okay, round of 16, we've got Benfica. We could have got Bayern Munich, but we got Benfica. And then in the quarterfinals, if we get through, is the winner of Palmeiras or Botafogo. And honestly, this draw has been extremely kind to Chelsea. Now, again, it's changed a few times based on other games and other groups, goal differences, people's ranks, where they're finishing, where it's first or second. It's changed quite a lot. Originally, before the game, I believe we were set up to play Bayern Munich, but then they lost, and it's all kind of been quite exciting in that aspect that things have changed. But for some weird reason, Chelsea's path to at least the semi-final is very favourable considering the other teams that are in the competition, and this excites me. On paper, in theory, I feel like we can get to the semis. Obviously, we can only play who's in front of us, and we do have to turn up and get the result. Obviously, we don't take that for granted. There's none of that. We don't look down on opponents here at Talking Chelsea channel, right? We understand that you can only play who's in front of you. But I feel like Benfica will be a tough game. I do think that we can get a result. Palmeiras and Botafogo, again, they're going to be really up for it. I feel like we still can get a result. There's also, we lose to Benfica. To be brutally honest, it depends how we turn up and how we play, how we're set up, what personnel we use on the day. But I do feel confident off the back of last night's win or this morning's win, knowing that we've got a lot of our first team is rested. We've integrated some other players as well. Things are starting to connect a little bit. We look like we're getting a bit of momentum in terms of playing in these types of conditions. So I'm looking forward to the Benfica game on Saturday, and I'm hoping for a Chelsea win, and I can see a Chelsea win if we turn up and play well. But honestly, I don't think Chelsea could have asked for a better path. Then at the semi-finals, you're looking at the other side of it. Like I said, you've got Juve, you've got River Plate, Man City. I can't remember the other couple that are in there. So that's when it really gets real. You get to the semi-final, and then you're playing like massive clubs. Again, we don't control that. So the other side of the other branch of the round of 16s and quarterfinals, we could get, how do I word this? A lesser team, I suppose, a team that's not as big as some of the big European giants go through. And again, it could be a really favourable path to the final. This just instills belief that Chelsea can really go far in this competition as long as we turn up. So I just wanted to touch on that quickly. I know I mentioned it briefly a little bit earlier in the video, but kind of breaking that down, it was Benfica, then I see the winner of Palmeiras and Botafogo. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below about Enzo Maresca's press conference, the things that he said, and also Chelsea's path to the semi-final. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you feel like we can get to the semis? Do you feel like we can get past Benfica? Who do you think is going to win between Palmeiras and Botafogo? I'm very curious to know your thoughts. Fabrizio Romano has reported Kepa to Arsenal. Here we go. Deal done for the Spanish goalkeeper to join Arsenal as a backup for David Raya. Arsenal activate £5 million clause from Chelsea, and all documents are now sealed. One more addition for Arteta after Martin Zubamendi. Thank God he's gone. Okay, now look, there's a pocket of Chelsea fans who really rate Kepa that want to see him come back, and it's quite romantic in that sense that they feel like he can still be Chelsea's number one. He burnt his bridges a long time ago. Let's be brutally honest. I kind of feel for Kepa in a little bit because he was brought in as a bit of a rush decision, and at the time he was the world's most expensive goalkeeper. He was young, he was his prospect, he was meant to replace Courtois and reach those sorts of heights, and he never really did. In a Chelsea shirt, let's be brutally honest. Yes, he's had some good games, he's had some good saves, but he also conceded a lot of goals from outside the box. Shot stopping inside the box wasn't too bad. Distribution wasn't awful either. Obviously, he had that bust up with Sarri. They didn't want to get substituted off. He's also had a couple of occasions where he's refused to play for Chelsea in the pre-seasons where since the takeover of Pochettino saying, "Do you want to play for it? We need you." And he's basically said, "No, I don't want to." So I feel like the bridges have been burnt for a long time, and the fact that Chelsea are getting anything for him is a win. So thank you, Arsenal. Thank you for coming in and spending £5 million on him. We'll take that. Let me know when he needs picking up. I will go drive him there myself. That is not a problem. I just wanted to pass this on with you guys. I wanted to get your thoughts and opinions down below. It's unfortunate that the way that Kepa's career at Chelsea went. I will admit it could have been so much more, and I'm grateful for the time that we did use him as a number one. I still don't think he was a very good number one in comparison to previous ones we've had in my lifetime. Doesn't mean I'm trying to disrespect him. I'm just saying that, look, we've had better goalkeepers. He's been on our books for years and not even playing. Doesn't want to play for us. You know, none of the managers have come in and be like trying to beg him to play. They've just asked him, like, you know, we could use you as the number one, and he's like, nah, not interested. He did have a good season at Bournemouth, and fair play to him. I'm hoping that when he goes to Arsenal, he plays well as a backup. Fair. Do you know what I mean? That's, you know, I wish him well in his career. But yeah, this chapter is closed. Kepa Arrizabalaga to Chelsea. It's wild that he's still on the books when you think about it. We had to renegotiate a deal last year because you can't loan a player out who's got 12 months left. So we had to renegotiate that so he could then go on loan. And now at this point, I think like there's a little bit of time left, which is why we can do the 5 million release clause. So at least we're getting something out of him, and we're getting his wages off the books. I do believe it was over 6 figures a week, which is wild because he really hasn't played for God knows how long. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about Kepa Arrizabalaga in his Chelsea career. Are you glad that he's going? Are you sad that we're selling him? Very curious to know your thoughts. Estevao Willian has spoke on his Chelsea move, and he says going to Chelsea is a dream come true. Knowing that I need to focus here first is not easy. As it move gets closer, both the anxiety and the butterflies start to kick in, but I want to leave Palmeiras on good terms with my head held high, knowing that I did my best. We are so excited to see Estevao Willian. We have been for over a year. We've been seeing the clips throughout his season that he's had. What a talent. Unbelievable player. He's had 2 man of the match performances in 2 games at the Club World Cup, where a lot more of the world are starting to see him, and a lot more of the world are going, he is an absolute gem. He's a generational talent. This guy is unbelievable. How have Chelsea managed to sign him? I'm hoping we don't play Palmeiras in the quarterfinals if we get there, because I feel like he will actually tear us apart. I really, really do. He's such a good player. He will tear our defence apart. He really will. I feel like Cucurella can deal with him to an extent, but at the same time, a player like him, he's such a flair player, so creative. He makes something out of nothing. I just don't want to play against him, and I'm so happy that Chelsea have signed him. I'm so excited to see him play for Chelsea next season. Now, yes, there were talks of Estevao being promised the central roles, and I feel like he will get some time centrally, but primarily he's going to be on that right-hand side. I don't think he's going to start straight away. He will be in rotation with whoever it's Pedro Neto or Mabueke on that right-hand side. But I feel like once he starts bedding in, we start getting some game time and he gets his confidence up and he settles into a Maresca system of how he wants him to be played. It's going to be frightening for defenders and an amazing time for Chelsea fans. So I just wanted to touch on that. And I really respect his sort of mentality of like, he's really looking forward to it. He's a bit anxious, got butterflies, you know, it's a dream of his. However, he's focusing on here and now with the current club he's at, and he wants to leave on good terms. He wants to put in the best show he can. And I really respect that as a player, because a lot of players just clock out. They just clock out and they're not bothered, and they're just waiting, you know, running down time, running down games until they can get their move. But Estevao is basically saying, I'm giving you everything I've got right now, and then I do move to Chelsea after this competition, and I'm excited. So I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below about Estevao Willian. Are you excited? Are you not excited about him joining Chelsea? Do you think he's going to become a regular starter on that right-hand side? Do you see him playing more centrally? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And lastly, the BBC Sport did report yesterday some official breaking news that Lyon have been demoted to Liga 2 because of their poor state of their finances. And the list of players who could leave for cut price fees, the top one on the list is Malick Fofana. Now, is this a blessing in disguise for Chelsea? We've been looking at Malick Fofana. We're really interested in him. Liverpool also have concrete interest in Malick Fofana. I'm very excited about this player. I've seen lots of him across last season through highlights and just odd games here and there that I've watched. He is a frightening player. Very intelligent in the final third with his decision making. He can score goals. He's rapid. He can beat a man. Touchline winger. Like, this guy is young and he plays like he's got 5-6 years experience at the top flight. Unbelievable talent. And if Chelsea really are going to go for him and have Gittins and Fofana on the left-hand side, I would be so over the moon for that. But for this to happen, which is completely out of the blue, really, it was just announced yesterday, and everyone was like, whoa, what's going on here? That Lyon have been demoted because of their, you know, basically FFP. And Fofana is on that list. There's also some other amazing players here, like Tolisso, Maitland Miles is on there, Perry. That all of those players can go for a cutthroat price is unreal. Because if we can pick up Fofana, who I believe, what I reported the other day, or reacted to the other day, Lyon were wanting around 60 to 70 million euros, I believe, to try and squeeze as much money as possible out of that deal. Well, now they can't ask for it. They must have some clauses in their contracts to say, look, if they get relegated, they can go for X amount. But having Malick Fofana at the top of that list is very exciting, because that really means that Liverpool, obviously, with an interest, Chelsea with an interest, that means that we can crank things up and go, right, okay, cool, let's start pressing Lyon and going, how much is the deal going to, how much to get your player? What's it realistically going to take? What are the release clauses? What's the information around this relegation that you're having to deal with? Feel sorry for Lyon. They're a huge club. I don't really know what's been going on with their PSR, but obviously they've failed it, and now they're being relegated, which is wild when you think about it. No doubt that they will bounce back, and no doubt they will sell a portion, if not all of those players this summer to then raise more funds to then bounce back next season if they can replace them. But I just saw Malick Fofana on that list and got very, very excited because, again, Chelsea are linked. He's an exciting player. And I would love to know your thoughts and opinions about Lyon's demotion. What are your overall thoughts about PSR? Is it ruining football? Do you think this is the right thing to do? And what do you think that the cut price would be for someone like Malick Fofana if they are currently asking for around 60-70 million euros? Very curious to know your thoughts. Would you take Malick Fofana at Chelsea? I certainly would. I think he's a very exciting player on that left-hand side. Him and Gittins would absolutely cook, and it does give us a bit more depth and rotation. But very curious to know your thoughts down below. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything that's been reported down below in the comments. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.